Old Hollywood. The words conjure impossible glamour. Klieg lights, velvet nights, gods and goddesses stepping from limousines, immortal on the silver screen. But behind the perfection was a prison. The legends we worshipped were human, hiding messy, complicated, and sometimes terrifying secrets. Their smiles masked desperation, their romances often a lie, the price of fame, pieces of their soul. Let's pull back the velvet curtain and step past the publicity stills. We'll explore the shadows. Addiction, forbidden love, scandal and tragedy. The stories the studios tried to bury. These are the untold truths of 5 Hollywood icons. The reality is far more dramatic than anything on screen. There, Judy Garland, a name synonymous with talent, with stardom, with a voice that could fill a room and break your heart all at once. Even now, decades after her passing, her presence lingers, a testament to the power and the tragedy of Hollywood's golden age. That voice, joy and sorrow intertwined, a single note carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken stories. It was a voice that resonated with millions, a voice that promised escape, even as it hinted at the darkness within. To the world she was Dorothy, the innocent girl from Kansas, America's sweetheart, forever skipping down the yellow brick road, a symbol of hope and optimism during a time of great uncertainty. But behind the shimmering facade, MGM saw her as a product, a commodity to be molded and exploited, not a person with dreams and vulnerabilities. They meticulously crafted her image, changing her name, her looks, dictating every aspect of her public persona, and with cruel precision they chipped away at her self-esteem, constantly calling her fat to her face, fueling a lifelong battle with body image. Studio head Louis B. Mayer, the iron-fisted ruler of MGM, enforced a brutal diet, pushing her to the brink of exhaustion and despair. Grueling hours on set, endless musicals, relentless pressure to perform. How did she possibly keep going? What fueled her through the exhaustion and the emotional turmoil? The answer, tragically, was pills. Uppers to give her energy for work, downers to force her to sleep, a dangerous cycle of dependence that would haunt her for the rest of her days. All prescribed, without a second thought, by studio doctors, readily available to keep their star performing at any cost. And this insidious practice started when she was barely a child, robbing her of her innocence and setting her on a path of self-destruction. Even her own mother was complicit, a stage mother who prioritized fame and fortune over Judy's well-being, pushing her relentlessly into the spotlight. The world saw a star, radiant and seemingly untouchable. But backstage, behind the glittering costumes and the dazzling lights, she was trembling, emotionally dependent, trapped in a vicious cycle of addiction and despair. MGM controlled everything, her body, her relationships, her very identity, molding her into the image they desired. They even went so far as to force her to have an abortion, callously sacrificing her personal happiness to protect her carefully constructed image and the studio's reputation. As the years went on, the cracks in her carefully constructed facade began to show. She was labeled difficult, unreliable, a troublemaker in the eyes of the studio and the gossip columns. But beneath the surface, she was fighting for her life, a victim of profound trauma, struggling against the demons that had been unleashed upon her. Fired by MGM, discarded like a broken toy, she battled addiction for the rest of her life, a constant struggle against the forces that sought to consume her. She was haunted by the system that had made her a star, a system that had simultaneously elevated her and systematically destroyed her. Yet, even in her darkest moments, her legendary talent shone through, a beacon of hope amidst the storm. There were moments of triumph, like her unforgettable Carnegie Hall comeback, a testament to her resilience and the enduring power of her voice. But the damage was deep, the scars were permanent, and the wounds never truly healed. When we hear Over the Rainbow, that iconic song that defined her career, we hear her longing for freedom, for a place where troubles melt away like lemon drops, a place where she could finally be at peace. Judy Garland's tragedy wasn't just her untimely and early death at the age of 47. It was a fate sealed by those who built her legend, the studio executives and the Hollywood machine that profited from her talent. They built her up into an icon, only to systematically break her down and ultimately destroyed the woman behind the legend. Rock Hudson, a name synonymous with classic Hollywood glamour, a face that graced countless magazine covers, and a presence that commanded the silver screen. The name itself was a Hollywood invention, strong, masculine, perfect, carefully crafted by the studio system to embody the ideal leading man. It was a name designed to sell tickets and capture hearts. On screen, he was the ideal American man, charming, handsome, and always ready with a witty line or a tender embrace. He was the man every woman wanted and every man wanted to be. Off-screen, he was Roy Scherer, a gay man forced to hide his true self, a secret that weighed heavily on him, shaping his choices and dictating the course of his life in an era that demanded conformity. In 1950s Hollywood, being outed meant ruin. It could shatter careers, destroy reputations, and leave individuals ostracized and unemployable. The stakes were incredibly high. His agent, Henry Wilson, controlled every detail, a powerful figure who molded his clients into marketable commodities, often at a great personal cost, enforcing a strict code of public heterosexuality. Every aspect of Rock Hudson's public persona was meticulously managed to maintain the illusion of a desirable, straight-leading man. Every date, carefully orchestrated to create the image of a romantic interest in beautiful starlets. Every photo op was staged, a calculated performance designed to reinforce the fabricated narrative of Rock Hudson, the heterosexual heartthrob. The real Rock lived in fear, his life a performance, a constant tightrope walk between the man he was and the image he was forced to project. When a scandal magazine threatened to expose him, the threat loomed large, promising to unravel the carefully constructed facade and expose the truth he desperately tried to conceal. Wilson sacrificed other clients, offering up other secrets to protect his star asset and maintain the carefully crafted illusion, and arranged a sham marriage to protect Hudson's image. A desperate attempt to quell the rumors and solidify his public persona as a heterosexual leading man. The psychological toll was immense. The constant pressure, the fear of exposure, and the denial of his true identity took a heavy toll on his well-being. Living every day as someone else, never able to love openly, he was forced to navigate a world where his true self was a liability, a secret that could destroy everything he had worked for. The marriage ended, but the illusion held. The public remained largely unaware of the truth, and Rock Hudson continued to reign as one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. He became a beloved star, his secret known only to a trusted few. He cultivated close friendships with fellow actors and industry insiders who understood the pressures he faced and offered him support and companionship. In 1985, Hudson's AIDS diagnosis, a disease then shrouded in stigma and fear, shattered the carefully constructed facade of his public image, forced his truth into the open. The revelation sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the world, forever changing the way AIDS was perceived. He became the first major celebrity to do so, bravely confronting the stigma and using his platform to raise awareness about the devastating disease, putting a human face on the crisis. His vulnerability and honesty helped to break down barriers and encourage open conversations about AIDS. The perfect leading man's final act was one of reluctant activism. He transformed from a symbol of Hollywood perfection into a symbol of courage and resilience in the face of adversity. His legacy became more than just movies. It was about courage and the cost of living a lie. It's a reminder of the importance of authenticity and the devastating impact of societal pressures to conform. Lana Turner, the ultimate blonde bombshell, a name synonymous with Hollywood glamour, a face that launched 1,000 fantasies. She was the embodiment of mid-century allure, a star whose light shone brighter than almost any other. Discovered, as the story goes, at a soda fountain. Can you imagine? One moment you're sipping a Coke, the next you're on your way to becoming a screen icon. She was quickly transformed into the sweater girl. This image, this persona, became her early trademark. It was a symbol of youthful exuberance and undeniable sex appeal. Her life, from that moment on, was pure Hollywood, a whirlwind of premieres, parties, and picture deals. 7 husbands, each marriage a chapter in her ever-evolving story. Countless lovers whispered about in hushed tones in the back rooms of Hollywood nightclubs, and then a scandal that eclipsed any role she ever played, a real-life drama more shocking than anything she could have imagined. It all happened in 1958, a year that would forever be etched in Hollywood infamy. Her abusive relationship with mobster Johnny Stompanato, a man who brought danger and darkness into her glittering world. It ended in murder, a shocking act of violence that would change everything. Her daughter Cheryl, just 14 years old, found herself at the center of this nightmare. She stabbed Stompanato to protect her mother from his violent rage. The media frenzy was relentless, a pack of wolves descending upon a wounded animal. Lana's private hell, the abuse, the fear, the constant threat of violence, was exposed for all the world to see, splashed across every newspaper and magazine. The trial was a spectacle, a macabre performance played out on the world stage. Lana's emotional testimony, a raw and vulnerable display that captivated the nation, blurred the line between performance and reality, leaving everyone wondering what was truth and what was carefully crafted fiction. The court ruled it justifiable homicide, a verdict that brought a measure of relief but not closure. But rumors persisted, swirling around Lana and her daughter like a dark cloud. Was Lana protecting her daughter, or was she in fact protecting herself? The question lingered unanswered. The scandal, remarkably, didn't end her career. In fact, it may have even revitalized it. Instead, it fueled her legend, adding another layer of complexity to her already fascinating persona. Audiences flocked to see the woman who had not only survived tragedy but had emerged from it seemingly stronger. Lana Turner became more than just the sweater girl, more than just a pretty face on a movie screen. She was a symbol of tarnished glamour, of resilience, and of the enduring power of survival in the face of unimaginable adversity, forever changed, forever defined by the stiletto in the pink bedroom, a moment frozen in time, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the glittering surface of Hollywood. Montgomery Clift. In a world of macho heroes, Monty was different, sensitive, vulnerable, intense. He brought raw honesty to the screen, redefining male stardom with his soulfulness. But off-screen he battled demons, his sexuality, insecurity, and a need for perfection. At his peak, a car accident shattered everything. His face was destroyed. Elizabeth Taylor saved his life on the roadside. Surgery restored him, but the symmetry was gone. The pain, physical and emotional, was overwhelming. Studios saw him as damaged goods. He spiraled into depression, addiction, and erratic behavior. His later performances were haunting. Art, imitating life, pain bleeding into every role. Friends like Taylor fought for him, but the damage was irreversible. He died at 45, a heart attack ending what many called the longest suicide in Hollywood. Clift gave Hollywood a new kind of vulnerability, but the pressures and one tragic night took everything from him. Jean Harlow, the original blonde bombshell, tough, witty, and unapologetically sexual. Her career was controlled by her mother and stepfather, who saw her as a golden goose. Tragedy struck early. Her husband, Paul Byrne, was found dead in a mysterious suicide. Rumors swirled, but the studio buried the scandal. Harlow was pushed back to work, forced to smile while privately grieving. Her health declined, fatigue, pain, and illness dismissed by her mother, a devout Christian Scientist who refused medical care. On the set of Saratoga, Harlow collapsed. Friends finally rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. Kidney failure had destroyed her body. She died at 26, a victim of neglect and relentless studio demands. Her final film was finished with a body double. Audiences flocked to see her one last time. Harlow redefined female sexuality on screen, but off-screen she was controlled, used, and ultimately neglected to death. Old Hollywood's glamour was a machine with casualties. The stories of Judy, Rock, Lana, Monty, and Jean are more than gossip. They reveal the human cost of creating legends. Their secrets shaped their lives and legacies, adding heartbreaking depth to their art. These were not gods, but people trapped, paying for fame with their health, freedom, and sometimes their lives. Their stories force us to look beyond the image and see the flawed, magnificent humans behind the myth. Thank you for joining me in the shadows of the Dream Factory. Until next time, keep watching the stars and remember the darkness in between.